These are the stories of Careblazers, the stories of husbands, wives, sons, and daughters whose world is forever changed since caring for their loved one with dementia. You'll hear stories of heartbreak, you'll hear stories of love. These stories are real, raw, and powerful. I hope these stories show you you're not alone, and I hope they give you some inspiration and help as you go through your caregiving journey. All right, Phil, thank you so much for joining us today and for being willing to share your story. If you could just take a few minutes and tell the Careblazers out there a little bit about yourself and who you care for.
Yeah, thank you. I'd be pleased to do that. Well, I'm caring for my wife. We're both 88 years old. We're living in rural Pennsylvania. We had lived in North Carolina for about 30 years. And as Peggy was starting to have problems, I felt it was going to be necessary to get someplace where I could have some family support. And we've had a daughter up here for several years, and so we've moved to a retirement community. It's been turned out to be very nice. We have a little apartment in a as independent people in a place called Homewood. Um, we've been here for about a year and a half now. I'm doing most of the caregiving. My daughter is here. She's with us several times a week. We drive out to see her about 20 minutes away several times a week. We'll go out there on Monday, actually, to a little neighborhood campfire event. Peggy enjoys that, but she will do it, but she won't remember it. When she gets there, she reintroduces herself and is always a little hesitant to go. But we're 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 settled in. I'm it's sort of a role I never expected to have as a full-time caretaker, but here I am, and I think I'm holding up fairly well thanks to the support I have.
Oh, that's great. So when you said she reintroduces herself when she gets to the destination, is that like to your daughter? She doesn't recognize her daughter, or is that just to
No,
people she's
no,
met before?
no. The daughter's the same, but the staff here at the
Ah,
center, the girls at the desk, she'll
mm,
she'll want to introduce herself again and ask who they are, and does can't remember what the names are. She's physically reasonably well, although I'm getting concerned about that, and don't know how much longer we'll be able to just take care of her on my
mhm.
own. But so far so good.
How long ago was it that she was diagnosed with dementia?
Well, probably the first signs of it were maybe 5 years ago.
Mhm.
She was playing bridge pretty solidly and embarrassed herself when she couldn't remember what was going on with the bridge game. We were at the time working with a neurologist because she has neuropathy with her feet. And I think that neurologist recognized what was going on because he referred us to another neurologist who then gave her some tests, diagnosed mild dementia. Recall, spent a lot of time, went through those different tests of different things, and came up with the diagnosis of mild dementia. We went back then again, probably maybe 18 months later, and the same neurologist validate that diagnosis with moderate dementia with
Mm.
possible approaching Alzheimer's. And so we've now recently been able to make contact with a neurologist who specializes with Alzheimer's. And that neurologist has validated that she can't really say for sure, but all the signs are that it is Alzheimer's that's going to hit us. So far, I'd like to think it's sort of moderate to severe dementia because she has no memory of anything that's happened, and even the long-term memory is very, very, very poor.
Mm. When you and your wife first heard the diagnosis, mild dementia at the very beginning, did you both kind of understand what that meant and what that might mean for the future? Did they take some time to explain that to you?
Well, I don't know. We no, we didn't really have any advice on that. We just sort of, I think, realized ourselves that we might have to do something.
Hmm.
We sort of put it off as long as we could. I think
Hmm.
the things that we decided to give up our home of 30 years where we lived and get to a retirement for some facility where I could find some care for her because she started to fall in 1 week. I think
Hmm.
she fell maybe 5 times.
Oh.
I became quite concerned and went full bore to find a spot. We had difficulty at first, and then eventually wound up here, moving away from our home of, gosh, 30 years and giving up friends, which has been very difficult.
Hmm.
The Zoom like this has been a fortunate thing for us because we every Friday we have a Zoom meeting with several of our close friends back home, and we commiserate with each other. Peggy will participate in it, and she'll monopolize the conversation and
Oh.
take off with all these imaginary things that she wants to talk about.
Do your friends know what's happening with her? Or do they realize something's going on?
Oh yes, I've shared with them pretty much details as to how it started and where we are,
Hmm.
and they're all very much aware. Our friends up here in Pennsylvania, they're basically our daughter's friends, and
Hmm.
they are all very considerate. And a very nice part of it is the staff here, the facility where we are is quite small, and but the everybody here just loves her. The cleaning girl comes in and they all have a hug. Everybody at the desk wants to talk to her. Even the maintenance people, when they come in to do something, they'll talk to her for a little while. And
Oh,
all of the staff members know exactly what's going on,
that's
and
great.
I think they're all considerate of her, and then a number of the other residents are getting to know us, and they
Hmm.
do the same thing.
Nice. Now, does Peggy realize something's off and something's not quite right?
Sometimes she does. I think I mentioned that with one of my queries before, because on occasion she'll say, "What's happening to me?" and
Hmm.
what are we doing? And why are we? What's going to happen to us? And she'll realize, I think, but then it goes away, and she just is completely oblivious. You know,
Mm.
right now, um, one of my granddaughters has come in and with her because if I didn't have somebody with her, I'm afraid she'd be right on my shoulder, wanting to
Ah.
know what's going on, and she wants to grab the telephone and always answer the telephone when it rings, and but I have trouble with that.
Was she always pretty social?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was very attractive, tremendous number of friends, and they're all aware and supporting us, and very considerate. They're wanting to come up. It's about a 6 hour trip to come up from where we lived before to get here, and they'd all like to come. The COVID, of course, has sort of shut everything down, and so there's
Hmm.
no hope of that happening. And
Hmm.
I'm not real sure if they would come. She really wouldn't be able to have much of a relationship with any of them.
Yeah. Now, when you brought up the idea of moving away from your home that you lived in for 30 years together, how did she take that news? How did you bring it up to her?
Well, we did that at that time. She was quite lucid, and
Hmm.
we decided that she agreed that was the best thing to do. That we should best go get some help because she realized that it was oriented toward physical failing.
Ah.
I was more concerned if she should really have some physical problems that I did at that time, think it to be more physical than mental. And
Hmm.
sort of naively, I guess, hoping that we would just survive and be able to get through it without the dementia thing really coming too strong. I think come to grips now with the fact that we're never going to be normal again.
Hmm. Yeah. What's been some of the biggest challenges for you as you go through this journey?
Oh golly, probably maybe challenges. Well, challenges and disappointments too. I
Hmm.
never thought we'd. I hadn't anticipated that we'd spend our final years like this, but it's necessary,
Hmm.
and it's being a basically full time caregiver is doable, but it sort of deprives me of a number of things, and I've got to just accept that. Fortunately, the daughter's here, and I have a paid helper girl that comes in every afternoon, and that
Hmm.
gives me an opportunity to do my own business work and go off. That over the weekends, then now that the weather's nice, we been able to take her off once, and we'll do it again shortly. Local golf course. She'll ride in the golf course with me. Last fall when we did it, I attempted to have her drive the golf course,
Hmm.
and that didn't work all that well.
Did she try it?
Oh, she would do it, but she just could. I would say, all right, over here, but over where? And she
Mm.
just had trouble comprehending that. So now when we went out, I did it. I just have her sit there.
Yeah.
She'll move around. It's challenging to get her to move. Any time that I need to be someplace and we're going to go out, afraid that I've got to start about 30-40 minutes early, because as we're all dressed, everything is fine, but she's got so busy, she's got to go do something else, and I just can't. It's hard to get her to focus on moving, and
Mm.
but we that happens.
So you've adapted just by building in that extra buffer time.
Well, yeah, I always start very early. The other frustrating thing is I've been preparing our meals for a long, long time, and so we have the ability to have some meals here where we live with a common dining room. But I enjoy cooking. Actually, that gives me something to do to
Mm.
plan the meals and do the shopping, and I enjoy cooking. But um, every time I get something out, she's there in the kitchen with me and
Mm.
stands in the way, opens the freezer, goes after frozen food. If I have something out ready to cook, she starts at it and wants to eat it before I can get to it.
Mm.
But it'll I solve it all right. Normally I can keep her away.
How do you do that? How do you manage it? Like make sure you're getting the food cooked while also kind of making sure she's not eating everything before it's cooked.
Well, I just have to take it apart. She'll get angry with me,
Okay.
and she'll finally, if it comes, if she just absolutely won't do it, and she gets upset, then she storms off, goes back, lies down for 10 minutes, comes back in, and she's forgotten all about it.
Mm.
And I can sometimes a television program of some sort will entertain her while I do that. But
Hmm.
I've learned that I try to do as much of that preparation as I can prior to the time when I know she's going to be with me.
Ah, yeah, that's smart. You're trying to do whatever you can with when maybe she's not going to be
Yeah.
present to interfere.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah. You seem to like have good support with the staff members there at the facility, with your daughter, with your granddaughter, with friends. You have and paid help coming in. Like you've set up your life in a way that it seems like it's been really helpful to your situation. I'm wondering what you've done to help you emotionally. Like you seem to have a really good perspective on it all. You've come to be in this place of accepting this is what it is, but how are you coping emotionally with this? This is not what you anticipated at 88. And here you are.
I don't really know. Maybe I'm. I'd like to think that. Well, I think probably the solution to that is that I'm grateful that I can do it.
Mm,
I think if I were not here and able, what would happen? I would that I just would I couldn't bear that. Also, if this chore got laid on my two daughters,
mm,
one is working and still back in North Carolina, the other is involved here, but if their lives would really be disrupted if they had to do what I'm doing, and
mhm.
here I'm willing and able to do it, and so I think that's the way I cope with it. I'm grateful that I have the hopefully the ability to continue to do it for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems like you do. Are there things that you do to keep yourself healthy and able to continue doing this? Because I know for a lot of care pleasers, they're really concerned just about them being able to keep up with the caregiving demands and do it all. How are you managing to take care of yourself and take care of your wife?
Well, the when my caregiver is here in the afternoon, I have free time.
Mhm,
So that's when I can do my exercise. That's when I can get out and if I need to take care of something, I'm able to do it.
mhm.
The fun thing here too is that twice a week a group plays volleyball in a swimming pool,
Oh,
and
cool.
so that's a good thing for me. I enjoy that. Well, the
Mhm.
caregivers here, I'm participating with some of the other folks here with some games in the afternoon. I think I'd like to think I'm aware that I've got to do something to keep going. I'm not going to sit here, and but sometimes it gets a little boring when there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
Actually, probably one of the problems I have is I can't find anything for her to do. She
Mhm.
can't work a puzzle. She won't read a book. If there were something that I could that she could get involved in, because she'll talk to me. She will just babble on about make believe things, but she'll watch television programs but really doesn't comprehend them,
Mhm.
and she could see the same thing over and over and over again. And sometimes that will I don't know if it entertains her or amuses her, but it satisfies her anyway. So
Yeah. Absolutely. And it sounds like she's trying to be active and engaged. Like when you're in the kitchen, it sounds like she's trying to help maybe in her own way, even though it's not helping.
she says she's hungry.
Ah, yeah. I wonder if
I've
there's some sort of activity or task around that
Yeah,
that she
well,
could help out with.
yeah. So I keep little snack things to try to divert her and tell her I'll put them off in the other way.
Yeah.
Also, it's kind of nice. Our daughter, when she comes in, brings her dog in, and they get along very well together. She really relates to the dog,
Mm,
and they have a good time. And when we're out at at my daughter's house, the dog is there, and they get along. It's interesting that when she's with me, she's no difficult. However,
mm,
in a group, she will participate and be happy in a group,
mm,
and she doesn't really do anything meaningful, but she's not aggressive at all. She's all compatible and enjoys anytime she's with somebody other than me. When she's with me,
mm.
she's sometimes a little bit difficult.
What do you mean when you say difficult? What are some of the behaviors?
Um, just wanting me to participate in her delusions. She'll if something's on television, she wants to talk to the people on TV, and
Mhm.
she insists that I have to come and I have to talk with them. And so I do that. I talk to the person on TV, and tell them that you'll have to excuse us because we're going to leave, and so I'm sorry, but we're busy and we've got to go do something else, and so we're going to have to turn you off. That work.
That works.
Uh,
That's great. So if you don't do that, that's when she becomes upset.
Yeah. If she will just insist that she'll get very angry with me if I'm here in this little office we have, and I want to try to get something done I'm working on, and I say I can't do it. Well, then she'll say you have to because they're waiting for you. You've got to come do it.
So even though go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I think I'm fortunate that physically she is still reasonably good. She's not as good as she's getting weak because I can't get her to exercise, and that's a problem. She's in a scheduled physical therapy session twice a week, but she really resists going to it. Once she gets there, Kate, the PT girl, really is a wonderful person that gets her going. But it's so hard to get her because I'm too tired to go. And of course, she's not doing anything that's tired, but she'll. It's one of my problems is that she's becoming weaker and weaker. Doesn't fall, thank goodness. Hasn't fallen for a long, long time. But when she starts to physically fail, I'll have some additional problems.
Yeah. Does your wife put up the same kind of resistance to leaving the apartment when she's going to go see other people, or is it just for the PT appointments?
No, anything. When we're going to go out to see our daughter, she just doesn't. I don't think she can comprehend where we're going. But I think we've done everything we need to do to get on our way. But she's got to go back to her closet, and she's got to get something out of the dresser, and she's got to open this drawer and look in this thing here and do things. But
what eventually gets her out of the door? Just that she's done everything in her mental checklist, or is there something you do to eventually kind of get her going?
Just keep pulling at her. I don't know. It takes a while. There's no real secret to it. Just try to start early and put up with the things that she wants to do before she goes.
When she gets in the car, is she okay?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So it's just kind of leaving the apartment.
Except that's interesting, though. When she's in the car, she has become very concerned about drivers. I'm not going particularly fast, but she insists I slow. She sees a stop sign. Stop, stop, stop. There's a stop sign. Merging into the highway. Oh, you're going too fast. She's car's coming toward us, and she thinks, oh, slow down. And also, I've learned that noises, any kind of a sudden noise, she really reacts to that, and is very worried about noise and worried about traffic when we're in the car.
Yeah, lots of anxiety around that, or worry about what's happening out there. Yeah. So, what would you say are the most helpful things for you as you go through this journey? Like, definitely, it sounds like keeping your exercise, having support, but what are some other things besides the exercise that you do to really help you physically, mentally, emotionally, just like stay grounded and stay in your best self as you care for your wife?
Gosh, I don't really know. I'm reasonably good with computer things, and so I communicate with my friends.
Yes.
I think that might be one of them. I'll have long conversations with some fraternity brothers from old times, with the people back in Greensboro. To another Greensboro friend, wife has I guess Alzheimer's, and is completely faded to the point that she no longer recognizes him. But she still does that. I have good conversations with him. And another very good friend back there, wife had a stroke, and he kind of is kind of my mentor in this, because when his wife had the stroke, he went through 2 years of just constant care.
Mm.
Couldn't do a thing without that, and I just couldn't imagine how he could do that. And so he gives me encouragement with just from knowing that he was able to do it, and so I think I can do it also.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like not only socially staying in touch, but also sharing what you're going through with those people you're in touch with has been helpful.
Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting that none of us have a free ride, and there are others are in, do have done a lot more than I have to do,
Yeah.
and so I don't know I guess I don't know if the men are the ones that have to be the caregivers, but I'm sure it's the other way around also.
Yeah. Totally. I'm curious, when your wife has somebody come over, like the paid caregiver comes over so you can go out and do your exercises or whatever it is that you want to do. How does your wife respond to that? Is she pretty receptive or does she get nervous when you try to leave?
No. Initially, no. We talked about having somebody come in. Well, she
Hmm.
doesn't need anybody. She's not going to have anybody. No, I'm not going to see anybody.
Right.
So decided that I needed some help to cook and clean and keep things going, and so my helper came in, and
Mm.
so she's still my helper. She comes in to help me, and that actually it does help a little bit because she does things around here, but she she'll she'll come in and they'll hug each other, and but then she'll say, now what's your name? And but they relate very nicely. For that 4 hours, they will sit, and Melanie will just let her talk and talk and talk, and they take little walks. I try to get her to go outside. We have a little deck on the third floor apartment here, so we can sit outside now. The weather's nice and look out at the woods and things, and that's a nice thing.
Mm.
But she reacts very very well to that, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
The
I love what you did there. She wasn't open to the idea that she needed help. So you said you needed help and just had the person come over and do all the things anyway. That's
Mhm.
wonderful.
Yeah, that was the only way to work it, because she was adamant that there's no reason for anybody to come in to help me.
Right. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Now, for all of the people who will watch this video, what would you say is um, a recommendation or a piece of advice you could give other people who are finding themselves in the situation of caring for a loved one with dementia?
Probably the biggest thing would be to get someplace where there's good support, and I think in my mind, family is what it is.
Yeah.
If I didn't have family, it would be a real problem. And so I think the major thing would be to find a spot where your family can help, and you know don't be impossible to do it all by yourself, or to do it with strangers, even personal friends.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So for people who might not have family who's willing to help or able to help, or just might not have a family at all,
Mhm.
uh,
And we
getting
did that
friends.
even at the expense of leaving the community where we'd lived for 30 years and giving up all those friends. And that was difficult to do, but in retrospect, I think that obviously was the right thing to do. And probably with the COVID situation, if we were still back where we were in North Carolina, locked up with COVID restrictions, it would have been really tough.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
being near family to give us support, because we have uh, actually our daughter who is here has 4 children, so we have
Hmm.
4 grandchildren, and one of the grandchildren has 4 children.
Oh,
So
wow.
we have one of our motivations for coming here was that the one granddaughter has a 6-year-old, twin 4-year-old boys, and a 2-year-old girl, and
Wow.
they are here quite often.
So you
So
have some great grandkids over there.
uh, and
That's great.
yeah, it's kind of interesting that both the family on both sides of my granddaughter are here, and so there in the local area there are 3 sets of great grandparents that shares those grandchildren.
Oh, that's really nice. How does Peggy do with the grandkids and great grandkids?
Initially, very good. She was playing with them, reading to them, doing things. The last time we were together, she really wasn't able to relate to them, and that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the marks, I think,
Mm-hmm.
of the fact that it's hitting her a bit harder. Because I have some great pictures of her from maybe 6 months ago, where they're playing together and reading and things. And but I couldn't the last time with the visit. She sort of saw them, but really didn't comprehend or wasn't able to really react with them very well. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a little disappointing. That was disappointing.
Yeah. And now will Peggy continue following with the neurologist at some point, or are those visits kind of done now that you know what's going on?
Well, the neurologist said, let's just call me if you think I can help, but let's just schedule another in-person visit next year.
Mm-hmm.
We do also have a psychiatrist, I guess, psychiatrist
Mm-hmm.
that we see with Zoom calls about every
Mm-hmm.
month, and
Okay.
and and the neurologist and the psychiatrist have relate to each other, and we get nice advice from them. She's prescribed some medications that I hope are doing some good.
Yeah. So those monthly Zoom meetings with the psychiatrist, is it basically going over the behaviors, checking in how the medications are working?
I think it's primarily oriented to the medications and things that she
Mm.
wants to try to understand what else she can do. She's able to uh, just try to relate to her, keep her comfortable or with some things, and this next time we'll have an in-person meeting for the first time, and
Okay.
so that's going to be good to do.
Yeah. And I'm curious, throughout the entire journey, has any of the providers, when you bring your wife to one of the appointments, have any of them checked in with you to see how you're doing and offered you some resources for support and information?
People are concerned about that. I don't know that. Oh well, yeah. I guess the psychiatrist has. They wanted to refer me to oh, I guess a psychiatrist. He wanted me to have some sessions just to keep my spirits up. I did that once or
Oh,
twice, and I thought I was all right without it.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's great though that they checked in with you and they're, like letting you know what help is out there, even if you don't necessarily need it. That's good to hear, actually. So, okay, awesome. Anything else that I didn't ask that you'd like to share with any Trailblazers that might be watching?
I don't think so. We've covered most of the things that I had thought about. It's not a fun thing, but
Mhm.
I'm grateful I can do it,
Yeah,
and that's probably what keeps me going.
yes.
And it's not all bad. I sleep well. I eat well. I have 2 hours every most of the evenings and 2 or 3 hours every morning when I get up to do what I have to do, and then we get her dressed and get her going. In the it's interesting. She goes through a cycle somehow. In the mornings, she's quite lucid and
Hmm.
talk and no memory of things, but she will be very compatible and talking. But as the day goes on, then she regresses. And then in the evening again, she's back the same way. We have very comfortable,
Mm,
nice little talks as we go to bed, and so it could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse.
absolutely. I think as I hear you talk, some of the things that are just wonderful takeaways for any Trailblazer would be whatever you can do for your physical health, maintaining some sort of physical exercise routine. Trying to stay connected socially, whether it's to friends or family, is really important. And also just the sense of gratitude that you have. You could very easily be looking at your situation through a different lens. That's not so great, but you do have this sense of like, you're just grateful that you're able to, rise to this purpose that you have right now. And so I think those are three very great takeaways for any Trailblazer that might be watching.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to do it. I'm glad I can help her because
Yeah.
it gives me a lot of satisfaction. Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. But you could
I
just
just,
as easily be wrapped up in this is not what you expected at 88. This is not how
Mhm,
you expected life to go. And you've kind of
mhm,
just, you know what, this is what it is. You're going to do what
mhm.
you can. So,
Yeah. And actually I get a lot of compliments from people too. They think that I appreciate that when they tell me they think I'm doing a good job. So I like that.
yeah, you absolutely are. It definitely sounds like you're doing a great job. So, well, Phil, thank you so much for taking time to chat with all of us and for sharing your story.
Thank you. I'm happy to do it. And I appreciate all the help you've given me with different things, with the videos and the personal attention you've provided. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. All right, Care Blazers, that's what we have for you today. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Phil.